Whether you're switching back to work mode or school mode, Suddenlink sets you up for success.
Hand on the wheel, got my pistons pumping, all 800 horses running. Oh baby, 125 in the middle of the night, got my engine thundering. Dream machine, racing queen, I'll take you wherever you wanna go. Let's go to town, break the speed of sound. Tonight we all know racing. Dream machine, racing queen, you make my heart beat, you make my heart beat. Dream machine, racing queen, you make my heart beat, you make my heart beat. Born to ride, Mustang 65, got that V8 engine with a fuel injection. Drop the clutch, pedal to the floor, turn that giddy button to a lion's roar. Dream machine, racing queen, I'll take you wherever you wanna go. Let's go to town, break the speed of sound. Tonight we all know racing. Dream machine, racing queen, you make my heart beat, you make my heart beat. Dream machine, racing queen, you make my heart beat, you make my heart beat. Racing queen, you make my heart beat, you make my heart beat. Dream machine, racing queen, you make my heart beat,
Man, I don't know what that song was that was just playing before the show, but I love a good just hype song coming on before we start the 12:03. I don't know about you, but it just sets the tone.
SpongeBob SquarePants
Maybe
theme
we-
song, wasn't it?
But we'll fire up SpongeBob next week. I think that's a good
I
go-to.
had the thing muted. I was playing my own song. It was SpongeBob.
There's something about Dream Machine.
Okay.
It was nice and upbeat, but hey, I have fought and survived
the pirate
COVID.
off of SpongeBob? He always says, "Are you ready, kid?" Why is he asking the kids if they're ready? It doesn't matter. The show's gonna start anyway.
Whether they're ready or not.
The kids have said no. I've said no before, and the show still starts.
No,
I was getting
no,
It was
Captain.
before you could pause it. It's before you could pause it. I went to get popcorn or something. You know, I like food. Came back. The show started. I told him no, I wasn't ready. Ah, Patchy. God.
Well,
All
I
right.
hope you're ready for an episode of the 1203.
Yeah.
We are back. We had to take a week hiatus. We'll get into that in a minute. We've got a very special guest today. He is my childhood best friend. We have been best buds since the 4th grade. He's one of the wildest guys I know, but he's also one of the most entertaining guys I know. Welcome to the show, Sean, the Shanimal Shannon.
Thank you, Reed. It's an absolute pleasure to be on. Hey, congrats on the wedding. Just want to put that out there. Really excited to be on. I know we were planning this couple weeks, then last week happened, and I was like, oh. And then, couldn't do anything this weekend, so I guess we just kept up with the Wednesday recording. So here
We
I am,
are here.
and excited to be here.
Yeah, we were Sean was supposed to join us last week, but your boy came down with something. I still don't know what it was. I went and got tested and everything. I had a lot of the symptoms of COVID. Went and got tested. Came negative for pretty much everything. I still don't know what it was. Maybe just a really bad head cold. I don't know.
It came especially negative for having a pair of balls.
That's just rude. There's no
Got him.
call for that.
Got
No
him.
call for that.
You did.
But I came back
He didn't
negative.
say false. He
So
didn't say
I
false,
am
guys.
I am quarantined until next Monday. That's why we didn't have a show last week. I was just under the weather. We are back this week. So if you hear my stuffy nose or if I accidentally cough at some point, bear with me. But got an exciting show today. Got a lot to talk about. A lot has happened in the past 2 weeks. Specifically, I just gave you a little bit of my life update. We like to start the show with a little bit of a life update. That's what's been going on for me other than high school football. I shaved so I look like a thumb, so please ignore that. But that's where we're at. Parker, how you been?
I've been good, man. I was, winding up the 6 weeks grading for these kids and teaching and getting all these kids tested. Turns out these kids didn't really learn a whole lot last year, or they lost it all with the testing we've seen.
It's
with
been
the
a long
virtual learning.
time.
It has. They haven't been in school since like March or something. So we brought them back, and it's been a while. But we're getting them caught up to speed, which has been fun.
Mic off.
As far as personal life goes,
Mic on.
I was on a radio show in Kerrville, 94.3 Rev FM. They called me up to do a sports talk thing on Saturdays. Mark Keller, shout out to him. And he wants me back this Saturday. So 94.3 Rev FM if you're in the area, in the Kerrville area. And if you're not, you can always just go Rev FM. You can live stream it. But, yeah, it's been fun, man. Talking sports again. There was nothing. I really wasn't going to do anything with sports. With sports radio or anything like that, if it was going to be like play-by-play or something like that. But as far as like an actual radio show where you just sit down, talk about whatever's going on, high school sports, whatever, it was fun to get back in there and goof around. And apparently he liked me, so he wanted me back. I started telling jokes on air and didn't know if he was wanting me to go off the rails with it. I told him the best shows are when you go off the rails. So apparently he liked my style, and here we are.
Did you pull out any of the old Mark Brown jokes?
Oh God, no. Mark Brown. I leave the Mark Brown jokes to Mark Brown. I'm not good at the puns. I'm not good at the. I'm good at self-deprecation, making fun of my weight,
Ooh.
and then at the same time talking about how big and strong I am. So the audience doesn't know what I look like. I could either be really fat and out of shape, or are super strong. But I think they know now because we have live stream and Facebook Live. They kind of saw me, so it gave it a little bit away. But
Which is a bummer
I'm
because
just an open book. That was my character, right?
One of our
just
best jokes back on Bobcat Radio was that Parker was this giant swole dude, and they would never be able to prove that he wasn't because it was over the radio.
It was Bobcat Radio, and we did end up getting some fans later on as the years go on.
Yeah.
I remember some professors would call in and say, "You guys crack me up every morning." But I don't know if you could call it. We definitely you were professional. You brought the sports. Riley was really good. Brendan was good. I was just there to I was just there to just distract you guys and make fun of you guys every step of the way. So it was a good balance. You were professional, and I was the humor. So it
You were
worked
also the host. Don't forget about that. You were the host that also.
But that was just random design. I was the host. I pushed a couple buttons, but Dan definitely didn't. Old professor, he was pretty upset with me sometimes. But yeah, you guys definitely made that show fun. It was a good show.
Now we do have
See,
something
and
exciting.
I'm gonna hold on, Reed. I'm gonna sum up some childhood here. So for all of y'all that had listened to Bobcat Radio, Parker was the dude that distracted him. Reed was the one with a little bit more structure. That was our childhood growing up.
It really
The one
was.
getting things done, and there I was jumping off roofs. So there we go. Quick.
Sean
quick
was
synopsis.
real life distractions, real life doing crazy stuff. I had a lot of fun with Sean when we were doing the wedding stuff before the wedding. We all went out to the lake house, and oh man, Sean was great. Sean was fun. We were just having a good time, throwing back some brewskis. If we were friends in another life, I mean, we were like in another life, and I was friends with you earlier on. I think we'd be pretty good friends. We'd probably get into a lot of trouble, but
Y'all
it
100% would
was-
get into
it
a
was
lot of
cool.
trouble.
It was
I
cool
can-
to see him.
I can confirm that you two, if y'all had grown up together, would be like
Oh, man.
ISS buddies. Y'all just
Yeah.
rock house like roommates. Like that would have been you
But
two.
it wouldn't have even been for anything like that bad. It would have
No.
been
just
us just like
for like being heinous. I don't know.
It would have been a
yeah,
normal.
just being heinous.
It would have been a normal situation, and our actions would have made it just 10 times worse. Because that's
Yeah.
my life. That's my life. It's normal, everyday things. Parker, why'd you say that? Well, because it was funny, and I wanted to say it. And then Sean would actually do it. Sean would follow through and do what I said. Like, it'd be funny if someone did that, and then Sean would be the guy that actually did it, and we'd all get in trouble. But yeah, it would be fun.
For those of you that don't know, Sean moved to Hondo, and we were in 4th grade, and he and I were in the same class, and we just clicked. We've been best buddies forever. My mom has this saying she loves to say, where about her friend from high school, where she said, Gracie would keep Mom out at night, and Mom would keep Gracie out of jail at night. That's 100% Sean and I's relationship. So, and I think you could apply that to Parker and I too, except for it's more, I just keep Parker out of trouble. I don't think Parker would ever get himself in jail, but
I'm
he
too
definitely,
lazy.
you definitely
I'm
too lazy to do anything to get
I'm
yourself
too
in
lazy. I
jail.
don't follow through. I have a lot of ideas. Reed getting me out of trouble is probably telling me, hey, you probably shouldn't send that text.
You probably
you
shouldn't
probably-
send that
You
Snapchat.
probably shouldn't say that to that person. But yeah, no, I never got too crazy. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Now, Sean does have a very important announcement to make. Sean is committing on the show.
I am. You heard it here first, folks. Went and did a campus tour of this particular school this weekend. Was a big fan, fell in love, huge campus. Everybody there seems super friendly. Coaching staff looks promising. I just think that it's the right move for me in my career right now, and I'm committing to the Texas State.
Hey, Texas State just landed the biggest recruit. This reminds me of a hilarious story. I think we were in like freshman or sophomore year, and this
Oh, dude,
college
that was junior
fair.
year. I know
Was it
exactly
junior
which
year?
one you're
So
talking about.
we had a college
no, it
fair.
was senior year because we were seniors.
We were in our jerseys. It was a Friday. That's right. So it was a college fair, and they had all these colleges come. Some of them they'd bring like coaches and stuff. I don't know what school it
No,
was.
these were FCS schools. These were not
Yeah,
any.
well,
like,
it was.
UTSA and Texas State were the only like D1 schools.
Yeah, I guess
there,
they were the only.
wasn't
Wasn't there like a Texas A&M agriculture like representative or
it?
something?
They don't have a football team, dude.
No,
That's-
I'm talking. You know
that's
what I
Oh,
mean?
you mean like the university? Like,
Yeah,
you're just
like-
pitching to the
like-
strengths.
yeah,
I feel what you're
Yeah,
saying,
because I
dude.
mean, Hondo's like a FFA powerhouse or whatever. But anyway,
oh,
so at this convention, at this FFA fair, we convinced some random dude at the fair
It was
that
a
Sean,
career fair.
yeah,
It was
that
a
Sean
career
was a
fair.
5-star kicker committed to Alabama, but he
I
was
was
like,
a 4-star.
was it
4-star?
4-star?
I needed to make it believable.
Hey, 4-star, 5-star. Whoa, 4-star.
Yeah,
I
like,
get it.
come on,
I
dude.
get it. I get it.
We convinced him
Come
that
on,
he was a
dude.
4-star kicker. And to set the stage, like Sean's like what 6'1", 6'2" now.
This is when I just hit my growth spurt, and I was just skin and bone.
Yeah, you were like a 5'7"
I-
at the time, 5'8".
No, because I hit my growth spurt like in between my sophomore and junior year, so I still was like, I was a good like 5'11", pushing 6 foot, like everything like that. But I mean, it was just I hadn't like gained any weight while I was doing
No.
it, so I was just skin and bone, dude.
And he
like, yeah, I'm
convinced
a
this
4-star
dude
kicker.
he was a 4-star kicker, and then he was considering decommitting and he'd go play for this school. And the dude like Ryan says Sean would turn around the Texas State football team. All they need is a kicker, and they're like 2-1 this year instead of 1-2. So
Yo, but legit, Sean in San Marcos for 4 years needs to happen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no,
Sean in
it's gonna
San
be-
Marcos.
It's
Just-
gonna be even worse because I have one of my best
Yeah.
friends from the Marine Corps there.
Yeah.
Caleb. He's like we're gonna
Oh,
room
man.
it. Like we're gonna get an apartment and like it's just gonna be stupid.
The
'cause we're
square,
just gonna
the
be
square will never be the
Pocketing
same.
government money, like it's gonna be ridiculous,
Yes.
dude.
Hey, that's right, dude. That's even better. Yeah. The
Yeah.
square will never be the same. The square.
Oh no, it's not.
the square is gonna be
I mean,
ravaged.
we gotta go back, Reed. We gotta turn the years
Hey,
back.
I'm always down to go back to San Marcos. It's just gotta
I
work
know,
out.
We need to.
Hey, if there aren't wanted posters of me up at the square after 2 years, I've failed.
You're not eligible to graduate.
I'm not eligible to graduate.
Man, that would have been wild. Let's talk some sports. Parker,
Oh,
what
yeah,
have you
sports.
seen? Sports are a thing, whether they're going great or not. What have you seen from the Houston Texans? They've played some really good teams to start the year, the
Next.
Kansas City Chiefs and then the Baltimore Ravens. The two best teams in the league. Neither game went great.
No, I have to talk about it.
What have you
if I actually
seen?
went on a show, if I actually did a show and I didn't talk about the Houston Texans, I'd get drugged. I'd get dragged.
Yeah, it's like because that's
I
like
have
your
to do
thing.
it. Even though if I just said, okay, no, I'm not doing it. I don't feel like it today. Yeah. So what I've seen is a team. God, I have to eat so much shit. Okay. what I've seen is everything you said. You were right about everything you said about them missing DeAndre Hopkins and about I've said it too. But I just was in the heat of the moment and I didn't want to give any ground, whatever. You know how that goes. And so, DeAndre Hopkins, man, he's missed. What do you do? And even when Deshaun Watson has had time in protection, he still rolls out. And you were making a point of it today. It's like, why does everything good happen when Deshaun Watson rolls out and makes a crazy play? That's the only thing he does, right? I mean, he doesn't sit in the pocket and make normal passes. Even if
Very rarely.
I mean, you were watching the game, the Ravens game, and even when there wasn't pressure, he would still scramble for no reason, run out of the pocket,
And throw on the run.
And he does this stuff. And so it's aggravating to watch that again and again and again. And it worked so much last year that we fell in love with it. But this year, when you don't have those guys that can get open, and for whatever reason, Will Fuller did not play a single down against the Ravens.
I'm telling you can't trust him. You can't trust him.
I told you our team's just a lot worse without him. The Chiefs, okay, we lost to the Chiefs. I tip my hat to the Chiefs. The Ravens game could have gone completely different, but of course you didn't have Will Fuller. He was getting his hamstring massaged or whatever. And then the plays that Watson had protection, and he could make the right throw. He just didn't. He would scamper around, throw it away, or try to force it downfield. And there were like 2 or 3 interceptions. One was by Marcus Peters. I don't give him any. We talked about that one. That was just a great.
This is a really good
play.
play.
Interception.
Marcus Peters is a really good
There
corner.
was another interception too that was just awful, and then there were throws that should have been intercepted that just weren't. So I don't know if the receivers just can't get open, and Watson is looking that bad, or Watson is just playing that bad, forcing the issue. I think it's a combination of both. I think Watson's not as bad as he looks, but I do think he has made a lot of mistakes. And so you culminate that, and I'm not even going to start with the defense because I think the offense has been so bad, the defense really hasn't had
J.J. Watt did have 2 sacks.
J.J. Watt had 2 sacks.
Had a good game.
He did his thing. He batted a ball too, so he did his thing. Defense, whatever. It's the offense. If you don't score points in football, the defense is going to get tired.
Score run.
We'll get there eventually.
I'm off of that.
We're not doing much of that either.
If they don't score points, then you can't keep the other team. You can't keep the other team off the field, and they just get momentum, and that's what happened. It was a steamrolling against the Ravens, and then the Chiefs game. I'm almost like I kind of knew that was okay. Yeah, the Chiefs were going to win, but the Ravens game was what really disappointed me.
Do you think that Watson just has zero trust in the offensive line, and then maybe the blocking schemes?
It could just be from the.
He's like traumatized.
Yeah, the residual
from staying
effects.
in the pocket. He's just traumatized.
Because there was even times when, and a lot of that is Bill O'Brien. Or Tim Kelly, I guess I should say. But Bill O'Brien, Tim Kelly, that offense needs to call quicker plays to get the ball out of his hands quicker. But at the same time, Watson's got to trust. He's got to hang in there a little bit longer, and he can't just run out of the pocket and do those crazy things every single play. There's some plays where if the play's not there, just take the sack. Because at the end of the day, if you throw it away or you try to force a throw or do something crazy, you're going to get hurt or you're going to get a turnover. I'd much rather have a sack than a turnover. So it's fun to make those plays. It really is. But at this point in time, it's really hurting the Texans offense. When you're 1st and 10 and then you have a crazy play, you can either be 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 11, or you can run around like Watson and be second and 13, 15, 16, get pushed all the way back. So it just doesn't help the offense.
And I think that's one thing that Watson's really going to have to prove as a quarterback, and I don't mean to just knock on Watson, but his entire career, he's had an escape route. Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M had Mike Evans, had that escape route, and Deshaun Watson has had very similar with DeAndre Hopkins. I'm in trouble. I'm going to throw it up to my big old number 10. He's going to make a crazy catch, and he's going to snag it, and he's going to save me, and then I'm going to look good. He's going to have to show that he can win games without that number one receiver. But again, I don't mean to make it sound like everything is on Watson. I still think the coaching is just terrible in Houston. You watch a game, and every game I come away thinking they're just getting out-coached. Every single game. They're getting out-coached.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got Andy Reid first week, and then you got Harbaugh the next week.
Two very good coaches. That's a good point.
But it's not even that. It's like okay, they're really good coaches, but Bill O'Brien is not just one. Bill O'Brien is like 5 tiers down. Like, it's not even the second tier. It's like all the way down here. It's such a mismatch coaching-wise. You see how the Chargers, they played the Chiefs. They actually played them really well in week 2. And then you got the Texans in contrast, and I'm not sure which team is better, but the Texans in contrast, they just couldn't keep up. They were just out-coached from the get-go. When the offense is clicking, the defense isn't clicking. When the defense is clicking, the offense is struggling. So, but my number one concern is still offense. You got to get something going on the offensive end if you want your defense, because we don't have a defense that can just take over games. We don't. Our offense, our highly paid quarterback needs to figure this out.
Well, let's jump to a game that I know Sean did watch. He's a Cowboys fan alongside with me. His number one team's the Jets. We're going to talk to New York Jets in a minute, but he does watch the Cowboys. Cowboys played a ridiculous game. I'm going to be honest. I'm gonna have a moment of humbling right here. I had a weak moment because the Cowboys came out and played literally the worst quarter of football I've ever seen. It was terrible. It had like 4 fumbles in like 5 minutes of football.
And it would have been different if it was like 4 different players. But no, it was your 2 offensive stars.
Yeah, it was Ezekiel Elliott. I think Ezekiel Elliott fumbled it once. Dak fumbled it once, trying to make like something out of nothing when there was no something. I don't know what he was doing.
Wasn't the Zeke one like in the red zone?
No, I don't think so. We never. Okay. I think we picked up like 1 first down that entire first quarter. It was on a Dalton Schultz pass. Dalton Schultz had one of the other fumbles. You know what? I think Zeke might have fumbled twice. No, I think one of them might have been Tony Pollard. It doesn't matter. Fumbled 4 times in the first quarter. They're down 20-0, and I'm like, dude, I'm not watching this game. I can't handle this. Like, after last week.
By the way, your texts tell a whole story. It was pretty.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Put me on blast. I had a weak moment.
No. It's true. Okay, so we start talking about the Cowboys, whatever, and then I say, see, in fantasy, you got to bet against your own team. I'll take the fantasy loss if the Cowboys lose. I'm petty, yada, yada, yada. I was giving it to you. I admit. I was talking shit like I always do. I'm like, I'm petty. I'll lose fantasy because he had Matt Ryan and Todd Gurley. He had 2 Falcons on his fantasy team. So I'm like, dude, fine. Bet against your own team. That's fine. The Falcons can win the game. You can beat me by 100 points on fantasy, which he almost did anyway, still.
I did have a really good week.
It felt like, he got the best of both worlds. Matt Ryan and Todd Gurley had a great fantasy week, and the Cowboys won. So it was a lose-lose for me. But I said, I'm petty. That's fine, whatever. And he said, if I'm being honest, I probably care more about my fantasy team than the Cowboys. I've got a way better shot.
There was a weak moment.
At a trophy.
That is true, though. That is
true.
That is not a false statement.
Wait, hold on. What's Reed's fantasy team name?
I'm the Waluigi Whackers.
Great team name. And by the way, there's a lot of things we can go off of that. That's a great name. But and then I was like, man, I was like, sure. And I was like, okay, yeah, Dallas is giving up, whatever.
Which it looked like they were.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, we look pretty pathetic. A lot of game left, but 21-0. In the first would be a hard to overcome. I'm like, yeah, okay, we agree. And then so that was 12:39. We didn't talk because I was like, okay, he's having a hard time.
I stopped watching the game. I'm gonna be honest.
At 3:40, so that was 12:39. So 3 hours later, he texts me. So Dallas won. And I'm like, oh, okay, so
I was in
uh,
disbelief. So here's what happened. So here's exactly
it
what
was just
happened.
funny.
I,
It
I,
was funny,
I
yeah.
was like, dude, I'm like, I'm over this. Like, screw
Yeah.
this. Like, just the same old Cowboys. They're just gonna blow it. Got all the talent in the world. And we
Yeah.
down 20 points because we fumbled the ball 4 freaking times. And then Jess and I go to town. We go to town. I don't remember exactly what we did. I think we went to groceries or something. Came back. I started watching again about halfway through the third quarter because I was obviously still watching on my phone because I'm a fan. I'm a sports nut. I'm always checking sports on my phone. So I
Yeah.
was still following. I tuned in and Dallas was making a game out of it. And I was like, how? How? Is this the same team that was playing 2 hours ago? Because it sure doesn't look like it. It looks like a completely different team. And sure enough, it was such a back and forth game. Dallas just made plays, man. And in that second half, Dallas balled out. Dak Prescott, I never gave up on Dak Prescott. I will say that. Dak is my guy. That fumble, that play that he made was really stupid, but I've been a Dak supporter for a long time. He showed out, did his thing, 450 yards and a touchdown. I've been saying he's for real, man, and it helps. As opposed to what Deshaun Watson's working with, Dak has a lot of weapons, especially in the wide receiving core, and it showed in that game. But
And they're using him better with
much better.
design run plays, which I don't know if Jason Garrett did a lot of, but Mike McCarthy in that offense and Kellen, I guess it's still Kellen Mond
It's
or
still Kellen
whoever.
Moore, yeah.
Yeah.
So unlike Bob,
Yeah.
Jason Garrett never called the plays because he's an actual head coach. Bob's like
Bob's not. Bob
Madden.
just now. No.
Bob's
Okay.
like a
So
Madden head coach.
Bob gave up coaching responsibilities just this season, and so far Tim Kelly's offense is looking like worse than Bob's. But
It's
I'm not
even
even
worse.
gonna go there. Yeah, it's actually gotten worse.
I don't know, Sean. What did you see in that game?
I mean, I had it on, like I said, and then when I had seen like the end of the first quarter, 3 turnovers, like you're down like what was it? It was like
It was-
17 to nothing.
It
I
was
was like, whatever.
17 or 20 to nothing.
Yeah, I just tossed on like my PS4 and I was playing it, but I had the other TV on up to my left and I was watching it. And then so like half ends and they come back out and I think Dallas got the ball first. And they just took it and they just drove it down the field. It looked like they totally restarted. It looked like solid football, like what the Cowboys should look like, where they just took it. It was a good mixture of run plays, good mixture of pass plays. There was all kinds of everything going on. You had Dak Prescott, yeah, that's his name. Making solid throws, like he looked like an NFL like face of a franchise quarterback, which I was kind of pleased with. Where I just thought to myself, I was like, dude, like this, they're looking pretty good. And then so I was like, okay, well now the Falcons are coming back on the field. Now you've got Matt Ryan and Todd Gurley. What do the Cowboys do now? Force like a 3-and-out, force them to punt, and then after that, like the Cowboys just got rolling. Like yeah, Falcons tried to pick up a head of steam again, but just nothing. Like they would just shut them down. And honestly, that second half looked like almost vintage Dallas Cowboys football.
It looked like what the Cowboys should look like. Because they
Yeah.
have all the talent in the world, dude. They have 3 potential wide receiver number 1 type guys. They've got, I mean, now to be fair, I will say Tyrod Smith did not play in that game. He was hurt, the left tackle. I think that played a big factor early. Now they were able to adjust some things and make some things happen in the second half. But man, it is just nice to know that the Cowboys have that clutch gene, that they're never out of it. That's never been a feeling that you had with the Cowboys before. It just hasn't been a thing. I mean, maybe even since the Tony Romo days. Tony Romo was one of the best players in the league at comeback drives, but he was also notorious for blowing games. So you never
Yeah,
really.
guilty pleasure. Tony Romo. I loved watching Tony Romo.
He got so much crap.
You know what? Because
He got so much crap, and he was a good quarterback.
He was a good quarterback.
He
And
was a
then
very good quarterback.
At the very end, something bad would happen, and then Cowboys fans would just completely annihilate the guy.
Most of
Like,
the time, it
annihilate
wouldn't
the
even be
guy.
his fault. Like,
It was horrible, and I felt bad for Tony. And now he's in the booth killing it. I love.
oh,
listening
he's
to
so
Tony
good.
Romo games.
He's so
Yeah.
good. But
Better than Joe Buck. Everybody is.
it's not hard. I don't know. I'm not a
Yes, we're doing this. We're doing this. Joe Buck slander.
I'm not a huge Joe Buck hater, but I think there's a lot better than Joe Buck.
Now, why does people
Literally everyone.
So thank you, Sean. And so people get mad. Like all of a sudden, like people, because we know people in the broadcast industry. Read, we know people that are like, oh, you can't speak ill of Joe Buck. You get kind of the stank eye or whatever. But for me, I don't understand the hype. His daddy was an announcer. He kind of got into the business. He was groomed, whatever. He's done a good job, but it's on his own merit. I don't know if he's as good as everyone. People put him as like the number one best ever, and I'm like, I think a lot to do with it is who he was born.
See,
His dad was an announcer too, and he got kind of put on Fox prime time, and then he's only been on Fox prime time. That's all he's had is prime time Fox. He's worked his way up, whatever, but he's been in the prime time spotlight, so he's got a lot of help, and he's been blessed. But I'm not gonna say he's like, oh, there's a lot of good ones out there that I would put above Joe Buck.
But my problem is with Joe Buck is that I don't mind him when it comes to football. He's not a super bad football announcer. It's when he got into baseball. So when he started announcing the World Series, that I was like, "This is."
I think that's Joe's gripe. I think that's Reed's gripe too with the baseball.
I didn't love him in the 2017 series. I thought he got way more excited for Dodgers plays than he did.
Well, there was an agenda there too. You could tell by just.
Oh, for sure, there was that entire series, and I don't mean to dive into this too much, but that's really my only beef with him is he definitely buys into the West Coast bias and. But I mean, as far as calling games on a daily basis, he paints the picture okay. He's not. I would put Kevin Harlan miles above him. But I might be biased because I've actually met Harlan, but I just think Kevin Harlan is much more entertaining and makes things much more interesting, and he's definitely more equal.
I like CBS's crew too. I like Jim Nantz and Tony.
Jim Nantz a lot. Yeah, I don't love Troy Aikman, especially when he's calling a Cowboys game because no Cowboy can ever be as good as Troy Aikman was.
Oh well, he has that. Yeah.
He like I remember when Tony Romo used to play, he used to always find things to crap on Tony Romo because he didn't want him to be as good as he was, especially since he was like the next great quarterback after Troy Aikman. So he'd always be like, "Oh, you shouldn't have made that throw. That was a bad throw by Romo." And it's it's a slant route, bro. Like I don't know what you're whining about. It's a curl route. You throw it a little low. Like grow up. But I don't know. Right. I didn't love Joe Buck during the World Series. But I
loved everything about that 2019 World Series. I just want to put out there.
I assume you did.
Except Joe Buck.
I assume you did. He got pretty hyped about Juan Soto. You remember how many times he told us that he's only 20 years old? How old is Juan Soto? He's only 20 years old. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Buck said it like 5 times every damn inning.
Like Juan Soto's not even up to bat. He's like 20 years old.
He's only 20 years old. You remember that dude that batted 4 batters ago? He was only 20 years old. God, that got really annoying.
Thanks, Joe. Well, he had his fact. And he was sticking to it.
That's true. Fact. That's true. We cannot say that was false information.
Yeah, he had his fact, and he wanted to tell everybody. He wasn't good at getting new facts, but he did have his one fact for the World Series, and that was he was going to make sure he knew he did his homework.
Hey, I'm not wrong. I'm just going to keep saying this, make sure I sound smart. What do y'all think of all the injuries that the NFL saw in Week 2? Because in baseball, and this is an interesting thing to think about, baseball saw so many pitcher injuries, and they're still seeing it because they ramped the season up so fast. And I think that's a big reason why you had those issues. We can also talk about Justin Verlander, R.I.P. Verlander. We'll get to that in a little bit, but he's a big one that had an injury. Do you think there's something similar in the NFL? They didn't play a preseason. Now, it could just be a coincidence, and I don't think it's quite the same as baseball because it's just, there's not so much stress put on one ligament like there is with pitchers. But what's your take? I mean, we got Christian McCaffrey on the IR. We got Saquon Barkley, torn ACL. Nick Bosa is on the and Michael Thomas is hurt. Like some big name players. Le'Veon Bell. Yeah, I mean, what are y'all's takes on that? What are you thinking?
Well, I think it's what you said, exactly what you said about the not having the preseason and not being able to, because in football you do have the 4 preseason games, and I don't think you should always have 4. I think they maybe should lower it to 2. But the first 2 weeks in the preseason, a lot of guys are getting hurt, and they're usually the scrubs because that's who you throw out there the first 2 weeks. You get your guys in there for maybe 1 or 2 series so they don't get hurt, and then you get them in like actual game speed, so they're not just hitting each other in practice, and then you pull them out. So the first 2 weeks. You get them up to speed. You make sure they're able to like take the hits and tackle and whatever, and then you pull them out before they get hurt, and then you throw the scrubs in, and they're all fighting for positioning and trying to make the team, and a lot of them get hurt in the first 2 or 3 weeks. But if you don't have that, you just have your 53-man roster. You throw it into the fire week 1, no preseason. They're not able to have any walkthroughs or anything like that. They're going straight to where these games count. and your full speed, your full go, whatever. That has definitely, we're seeing that in the first 2 weeks, week 1 and week 2. We're seeing a lot of big name guys where normally you would just see a bunch of scrubs getting hurt. Now you're seeing the big name guys get hurt because the games actually count. So that's my theory on it. I do think it's a lot to do with no preseason. I think you do need a little bit of preseason to start things off.
I'm going to piggyback on that. I think here's the interesting thing about it. 3 of those injuries, like Sean threw in Le'Veon Bell, you've got Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and Bell. Those are 3 running backs. Running backs are probably the closest to a pitcher in that they're used very often to do one very specific thing, and that is run the ball and get hit by dudes bigger than you. So, maybe that ramp up, they didn't have that preseason to kind of get the pads broken in, as they say, and get those legs going. Maybe that's played an impact, specifically in a guy like Saquon Barkley who tore an ACL. I mean, that could have been something in that.
In football, you're absolutely on point with it, because football, you have to mentally get yourself ready for a game. You have to have a couple scrimmages. You have to have a couple games that don't count. So by the time the actual district comes along, this is even high school level. By the time district comes along, you get in that zone and you're ready to go. But you can't mentally get there and physically get there just out of the gate like that. I know they've been practicing. They've probably been scrimmaging, whatever. They've probably been going hard in scrimmages. But you have to have that build-up in football. Pitching, too. That's why they bring the pitchers. It's pitchers and catchers first, right? Spring training. They bring those pitchers and catchers in first, get the pitchers there. That's all for the pitchers to get their body ready. Football, and especially with running backs and quarterbacks, too, I would say, with the arms and throwing the arms, you got to have preparation. You can't just jump into the fire like that. And so we're seeing that. And hopefully week 3 isn't as bad. But week 2, I was looking at all these updates, and I'm like, dang, it's getting bloody out there. It's getting bad.
I'm just lucky it didn't hit too close to my fantasy team. I got 2 teams. One team got ravaged. The other one's okay. But let's talk about something very interesting.
Hold on. I have another point to bring up on that. The whole preseason thing. If these big names, like you said, Christian McCaffrey, Le'Veon Bell, Saquon Barkley, Nick Bosa, everybody like that getting hurt, why haven't the offensive or defensive lines been ravaged as hard as the NFL, the media is kind of claiming?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm saying that's the trenches right there.
You would think.
Line is the first one, because you see a lot of that in preseason. Offensive line, they're always getting rolled up, tearing an ACL or ankle. Those offensive linemen are getting destroyed, and I don't know. Great point, because I don't know how that's not possible. Because I know if you're in the trenches every day like they are, you'd be getting. Is it because they just amped up? They're ready to go. Maybe they're just tougher.
Maybe they just have a different mentality.
I do honestly believe the offensive line and defensive line, they are just tougher people.
You have to be. You
really
legitimately
have
to be. You also have to be huge. That usually helps.
You have to be huge, and those guys are as tough as they come. I mean, out of all the sports, I put offensive linemen up there with the toughest of tough. They're those guys, and defensive too. Those guys are constantly. They don't really. I mean, they could break an arm or something. They'd be like, "Okay, coach, tape me up," or have broken fingers, and they're like, "All right, just put a mitt on it. I'm ready to go." Those guys are different creatures for sure.
Just toss one of those elbow braces on, and they're like, "Hey, we're good to go."
It's like animals, I know that some of those dudes are so big that they'll just take ACL braces and knee braces, and they'll put it on their arms. So they're that big.
Yeah, JJ Watt did that one season, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did on both arms.
Yeah,
he did.
Nah, it made him look terrifying.
It also helps. He's got 2-foot biceps, so that.
God, his arms. Yeah,
he's a giant human being. He's so much fun to watch too. I'm glad that he's kind of resurging over the past 2 years.
I remember when his bone or something was snapped or something on his leg, and he was just
I thought you said his boner was snapped. I was real confused for a second there.
Okay.
His boner snapped, and he was still there. But that'd be amazing. But no, his leg or something snapped, and he just walked off the field. He's like, "Yeah, I don't think I can play.
I think I'm done."
I think I'm dude, your bone is hanging. Yeah, it was bad.
His boner's hanging out.
It's snapped in half. Wow. His wife would have been mad. Sean, you have a very unique perspective, as you are one of the few and hard to find in Texas New York Jets fans. How did it start first off, and then so let's start with how did you become a Jets fan?
All right, I don't remember off the top of my head what the years were, but it might have been like it was probably way back there. It might have been like 2009, 2010. When like when
My
2009 started, I looked at that Jets team and I was like,
Mic on.
that's a good team. Underdogs, gonna make it to the Super Bowl. And they played their games. I think they went like I think that was the year they went 9-7, won the wild card, of course, because in the same division as the Patriots, you're never gonna win that division.
Never.
Especially with Tom Brady
Well,
playing for him.
you might now. We'll see.
But I was like, you know what? That team's gonna go to the Super Bowl. Upsets like two or three teams. No, because they beat wild card the first round and then the second round. So they upset like three teams, and I was like, this is it. They're going to the Super Bowl. AFC Championship rolls around. First year, I think it was against the Patriots. So they were like, I was like, here we go. This is going to be vengeance for the division. This is going to be dope. Like, let's go. I think they lost that game by 10 points. And I was like, oh man, okay, that's fine. They're a good team. They're going to make it next year. Same thing happened. Won the wild card. Made it to the AFC Championship. That time they played the Steelers. And it was looking real bad. Real bad for the Jets. I think they were down by 10 again, and Pittsburgh was on like their 1 yard line. So like they were right about to score. So I was like, oh man, it's over for the Jets. Big Ben fumbles the ball, like on the snap, fumbles the ball. Jets recover it and just make a 99-yard drive down the field. And I was like, this is it. The Jets are going to the Super Bowl. It's the team of destiny. They lost that game, and I was like, okay, whatever. I'm a Jets fan forever now. So yeah, so that's kind of my I called them going to a Super Bowl twice, was wrong both times. Now they're my favorite team.
Well, that was such an interesting Jets era too. That was that was they had Rex Ryan as the head coach. They had Mark Sanchez at quarterback, who was supposed to be just the great until the butt fumble ruined his career.
Tomlinson at
LT
running back.
in the backfield. I forget that they had a pretty big wide receiver too.
DeBrickashaw Ferguson,
DeBrick.
Alan Faneca, and there was one more like big name like offensive lineman.
I'm trying to remember who their wide receiver was too. They had a really good wide receiver that year, and I'm just drawing a blank on who it was.
He was one of those dudes that everybody thought was washed up too.
He was an older guy, yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, that was such an interesting Jets team. That was such an interesting time to like jump into the franchise.
And their defense was so good.
Oh, their
run
defense was great.
Their run defense was number one for like 5 years straight. I was like, dude.
Was it Plaxico Burress?
Yes,
That's who it was.
That's who it was.
He was a beast. He was a beast.
Yeah.
I think. Dude, Plaxico was great. I know who you're talking about now.
Either New York team.
Yeah.
And
he was good.
You jumped to present day New York Jets. It has not gone well for you guys since those years. I think you've gone through 6 or 7 different quarterbacks. I think there was a Brock Osweiler appearance at one point. I mean, things have not gone well in New York until they got Sam Darnold. I mean, what's it been like as being a Jets fan since then? As they've kind of gone downhill, it seems like they're kind of trying to work their back. They got a pretty decent receiver in Robbie Anderson. What has it been like kind of watching that team kind of as in your life, you were going through so much going to the Marines and whatnot.
Oh, there was so much there, yeah. But looks like they're not trying. Like
they're just kind of in cruise control. It is what it is.
Yeah, like honestly, we need a new head coach. Get rid of Adam Gase. Like
Gase had that same issue in Miami though.
Seems like he's a cool guy, but you just can him. Get rid of him. Like, tank the rest of the season. I don't care. Get us a better draft pick. Who cares? Get us some more defense or whatever we need. I don't even know at this point.
Well, you had the best safety in the league, and then you traded him. So I don't mean to. But I mean,
pour some more salt on the wound, Parker. You got anything else? Come on, let's go. Anyway, so it's like it looks like the team isn't trying, and I did see something on social media. I don't know if it's out of context or whatever. I take everything I see with a grain of salt, but that's what the player said. He said, "We're not trying to win games in practice." Like he's like, the team looks lethargic. It looks sloppy. It doesn't look like an NFL team should. And that first half of that 49ers game was, I wanted to throw my head into a brick wall. That's what it was. It wasn't fun for me. Didn't enjoy. First play from the line of scrimmage was an 89-yard touchdown pitch.
I know. Mostert gave my fantasy team a huge boost.
And I mean, it's not like it's if you look at it, we don't have a bad team. It's just not being used correctly. I guess it's a lot like the Texans, but of course the Texans just have bigger names and everything like that. But I mean, hey, I got to meet Sam Darnold once. It was pretty sweet. And then right after he got mononucleosis, wasn't me. I swear, guys. Right. I swear it wasn't me.
So what do you think of Sam Darnold? What do you make of him? Because it seems like people that are around him and watch him, it's like he's a talented dude, but they just haven't had the success you would expect with him. What do you think of him? What do you make of Sam Darnold?
I think last year was his rookie year, so like I said, I kind of just took everything with a grain of salt. Like he didn't perform terribly, but he just didn't perform like the first round draft pick that we drafted him to be. But this year he's looking a whole lot more cool, calm, collected in the pocket and everything, and he's kind of trusting his receivers a little bit more, which is going to be even harder now with Le'Veon Bell out. Like he doesn't have that run game to back him up. Now the secondary is just going to play deep because they just know that we got nothing to do except pass. And Frank Gore is hurt too.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he's not going to be here for the next week.
And you know who they're going to throw the ball to? They're going to throw it to Robbie Anderson because he's their only like really good wide receiver. And he's a pretty good wideout. He's developed. He's a weird looking dude.
The Jets could make that work with Robbie Anderson, but the Jets' identity to me has always been now they don't have the running back. When they had the running backs, great defense and pounding the rock.
It was all in the trenches. Yeah.
Run down your throat, dominate you at the line of scrimmage. That's why Tom Brady hated playing those Rex Ryan teams because he never got the football. He was the Jets had the ball for 40 minutes out of the game because they would just run the clock and pound. It was a strategy, and their defense was great, and they blitzed a lot. That was what the Jets did, and now Adam Gase, I think the new coach, has just
plays a lot more conservative, a whole lot more spread out.
Yeah,
everything
spread
like
out.
That.
Just not Jets football to me. Just not the identity the Jets should.
It was that, and I think that's another thing that I fell in love with. I fell in love with live by the run, die by the run.
Yes.
If they won a game, they won with 200 rushing yards from 3 separate rushers. If they lost the game, nobody got over like 30 yards of rushing. And
sounds like the current Titans, because that's what all the Titans do.
The Titans are great to watch too for that reason, Derek. I loved watching the Titans run they made in the playoffs because it was
so much fun to watch.
Oh man, it was fun. They were playing the Chiefs. It was such contrasting styles. I hope that if the Jets could embrace that identity in the AFC East, there's no telling because right now I really do feel like the AFC. I like the Buffalo Bills, but for the most part,
Buffalo has looked really good. Buffalo has been really good.
With Cam Newton have been something to watch too. But
Cam Newton's not a bad quarterback.
Not at all.
But Bill I'm surprised the way they're using him a lot. I guess Bill Belichick has just really figured him out. But he seems remotivated and everything. So the Patriots may still be the team to beat, but I still think the AFC East is wide open. If in the next coming years, if the Jets can just figure out to get back to that old school identity that made them the Jets. That's why people like the Jets, because they were old school and they bullied you. That was the fun.
Oh, and their fans are also like ruthless too, which is always hilarious to watch at the NFL draft. But
all the high class people rooted for the Giants in New York, and then
you just had like all these poor people just like Jets. And oh man, when they won their or I say this like I was there when I was alive when they won their Super Bowl before the Giants. Oh man.
Joe Namath, baby, Broadway Joe.
Greatest quarterback of all time.
One of the best. I love
greatest
his highlights. Yeah.
Just throw the GOAT label out there so easily. Let's talk about your future alma mater, Sean. Bobcats are 1-2. They're probably the best 1-2 football team in the country. Played some really good football. They took down ULM, which might have been the first time they beat ULM since joining the Sun Belt. If I read something like that, I might be wrong on that, but. Got a big win over ULM, made it look very convincing. Just another solid. Tyler Vitt actually looked pretty good. I was kind of proud of the kid. I didn't expect that from him. It seemed like going into camp, they were talking how Brady McBride was so much better than Tyler Vitt. And then here we are, week 3. Tyler Vitt's had to play back-to-back weeks because McBride, for whatever reason, hadn't been on the field. And all of a sudden, Jake Spavital is saying that it's a very tight situation in the quarterback room. Parker, what did you see from Tyler Vitt Saturday?
Yeah, well, I was loving it. I mean, he was making smart throws. The reason I fell in love Brady McBride week one was because of this kind of the same reason I liked Deshaun Watson was because he was all over the place. He was making crazy plays, and he brought kind of some excitement. But these last 2 weeks with the COVID thing and him being sick, him not being sick, whatever it was, and then him not being able to play again, and the third week, I was like, I'm kind of getting tired. I don't think I can trust Brady McBride. First off, if I'm his teammate, is this dude going to show up? Is this dude going to go through COVID protocol again? I don't. As another college player on the team, I'm looking. I'm like, dude, I don't think I can trust you. What are you doing? We're
Well,
all have to.
he's been at practice for the past 2 weeks. It's just for whatever reason he's not getting
For whatever
clearance.
reason, the protocol for me, it's like, why are you even putting yourself in that situation if you're the quarterback?
You
of
do
the
have a
team?
good point there.
So even if it's not anything bad he's doing, let's just say he's going to practice, but he's still whatever he's doing to get in protocol, he's doing it, and it's probably upsetting a lot of people. And so Tyler Vitt, he's been that steady force, and so I'm rolling with Tyler Vitt. I think now you have to because the momentum and the way he played against ULM, Brady McBride has to earn that spot back now because Tyler Vitt has been there, and the way he congratulates his receivers. I mean, first off, let's talk about the Texas State receiving.
I was gonna say the Texas State receivers is probably one of the most
Jeremiah
underrated.
Haydel, we've got that. Is it Marcel Barbie?
Marcel Barbie, he's a JUCO
Haydel,
guy. Don't forget
those
about
guys.
KDOT. Don't forget about KDOT, Jamari
KDOT,
Shareed.
okay, I see. I'm leaving people out. The way he gets excited about his receivers making big plays for him is the energy he has on the sideline. I think the locker room is fully behind Tyler Vitt. I think it's what you got to stick with going forward.
Well, he definitely has the trust of those wideouts, and he trusts those wideouts as well. I mean, why not throw it up to Jeremiah Haydel? He's on SportsCenter every other week, so like,
I don't know how we got. How did Texas State get? I don't even know how we got a guy like that.
So,
but it's been exciting to watch.
So he's been around for a long time. I remember when he was a freshman, but he's always been pretty good. But man, he's taken it.
He has been around.
He's taken it to another level this year.
It just seems like he's a guy that we wouldn't normally get. You know what I mean?
No, you're not wrong. He looks like
he's not a guy that Texas State would go. It seems like he should be playing in like the Big 12 or something like that. I don't know, but it's fun to watch. And Texas State in that conference itself. What team actually you think may be a challenge for Texas State? Because I'm beginning to think Sun Belt Conference wise, Texas State might be one of the teams to beat.
Louisiana's tough. They're ranked in the top 25. They've beat some good teams. And you can't ever forget about Troy. Troy is always good. Troy could honestly play in the Big 12, or they'd probably be a better SEC team than Vanderbilt. So, like,
yeah,
I mean,
they did knock off an SEC. Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, there's definitely some good teams. I wouldn't put Texas State at the top.
We don't even know how Texas State would match up against those schools.
Not until they play them.
This year, they may have even be a better. I mean, if Texas State does let's say they get a bowl game this year, that's the goal right there. It's just to get that. That's 100% the goal. And then all of a sudden, people are like, "Whoa, Texas State's looking pretty good. I want to go play there." And then that's
they got the six. They're like the Oregon of G. What is it? G5. So it's like not Power 5, but I forget what it's called.
I think it is.
Yeah, the
G5.
Still FBS, but
yeah.
Yeah.
They're like the Oregon as far as jerseys go, because they have like the coolest jersey
got
combos.
Sweet.
They do.
Sweet jerseys.
They pull it, and they got like these dope ass like jersey reveal videos they're doing now. If you haven't seen them, Texas State Bobcats on Twitter, dude. These video reveals are just sick. Like they're so well put together. I don't know. They're doing such a good job of branding this team, and this is something that for 4 years of college, myself and Parker and Larry Carlson, we just harped and harped and harped on that this team wasn't represented, nobody was in the stands, nobody cared. It finally looks like people care. Finally.
So, Reed, I think Caleb and I, we had been spitballing some ideas to do our whole to get people into the to buy in essentially. We're gonna, cause me and Caleb, we're huge WWE fans. Like we love the wrestling, we love everything.
Hey, so is Parker.
Hey, yeah.
We wanna make a customized belt, and we're gonna call it the touchdown belt. And we're gonna sit at the very front, at the student section, and if anybody scores right there, we're gonna pass off the belt. It's gonna be a lot of fun there. We're gonna start we're gonna get like our specific like tailgating spot that like we're gonna hang out at and everything. It's gonna be called the Rodeo.
Dude, you know what you
We
could
are
do? You
we are up
could
for better name.
you could be the guy that brings back the loud crowd. The
Oh,
loud
dude.
crowd was there when I was a freshman, and it was
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah.
And Parker
One
was
of
in
my
it.
years, I was in it like one of the last few years, and then all of a sudden,
It just
certain people
died.
graduated, and then it
just
just
died.
kind of died off. But
And
loud crowd needs to come back,
it
and then
100%
like
needs to come back.
Texas. Well, obviously with COVID, it's kind of weird, but with Texas State tailgating used to be
that was
awesome.
fun. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was big time, right? And then, but the thing was getting the people at tailgate to go into the
To the
stadium.
stadium.
and to stay
So
for more
if
than
we
like a
had
quarter.
guy that could just kind of move the herd into the stadium.
Like that's
Yeah.
what we want to do because like
Yeah.
we're already like when we go to school next fall, like we're gonna be 25, like we're gonna be
Yeah.
old dudes.
You guys are gonna have, you guys. We're here for this. We're here to pump you. Like, yeah.
Yeah, we're
that's your goal.
here to get
Yeah.
excited, like
Yeah.
everything like that. Like we want to we really want to kind of like reinvigorate the fan base for this reinvigorated team that's coming up. Like
And it is,
you guys
yeah,
are
it is
talking
definitely.
about, so. But I
a
mean,
team
hey,
to be
I'm
proud
up.
of.
I'm up
Yeah.
for suggestions. Nothing is stupid unless it's stupid. I don't know. I'm up for anything. So anything that you guys get recommendation wise, shoot them my way, and we'll see what we can do about it.
That's
And
awesome.
for the listeners that we get that are still at Texas State, because I'm sure we get a few, we are pretty much a Texas State network, more or less. We're Texas State grads for the most part.
Old Man Entertainment. Hey.
Old Man Entertainment, look at the name of the business.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to hype it up, especially once you get up there and you start getting. I say you go for loud crowd. I think that'd be a really cool thing to bring back. But I mean, you do what you want. But I think that fan base definitely needs more dedicated fans because right now the only ones they got are the ones working at the radio station. So, or like the 60-year-old graduates like Tom Madden, which he's a great dude by the way, but he's like they need more guys like that. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk. Things about to get sad, boys. We've been upbeat. I hate to bring it down. The Oakland Athletics have won the AL West for the first time in a long time.
What?
The Astros, for the first time since 2015? 2016. Did not
2015
win.
we were wild card. Yeah.
2015 we were so
wild card.
2016.
Still damn good wild card team though.
We way better than people thought we were going to be.
Anyway.
Did not win the AL West for whatever reason. We've talked about it before. What's your reaction to the Oakland Athletics winning the American League West?
The 60, it's sadness for sure. The 60 win, for whatever reason, the first part of the season, I was really hyped. All the anti-Astro stuff got me even more hyped. But man, I just felt like we and everybody else were robbed of a full season of baseball. I mean, at this point in time, you're supposed to be closing things down, like getting ready for, the playoffs, and you're supposed to have played already like 162 games, and it's winding. But now it just feels like, okay, we just got started. Teams are starting to kind of figure things out, and now all of a sudden, bam, season's over. Now we're throwing you into the playoffs. And yes, the playoffs will still be fun. I'll still watch. But there's definitely, I mean, I'm going to say this even if the Astros won the division, but the Oakland A's, yes, they won the division, but they won a division in a 60-game season. So there's definitely going to be a big question mark, like what could have been? Could the Astros have rebounded and taken up that lead? Because now they're like at 5.5 games back. Something
I
could have
just want to
happened.
say 19-31. That's all I'm going to say. That was the Nationals record at May 1st of 2019.
Great
they were
point.
19 and
Which
31.
you have a
They
great
were 10 and a
point.
half games 10 and a half games behind. But what
Talk-
do the A's do? What do the A's do every season? They come out of the gate, they're explosive, they're good, and then the All-Star break hits, and even afterwards they're still pretty good, but then they just collapse.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Absolutely collapse.
That's a
And
great.
we're never going to know what would have happened in a full season. How can you put full weight into a season like that? Like, there's no way you can. So let's say the A's go on, and they're not going to do this, but let's say they go on and win the World Series. I mean, yeah, the A's fans are going to be excited about it, but everyone else in the league is going to be like, cool story,
Cool.
bro. Like,
That's what I'm
let's
saying.
see-
It shouldn't.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be for a World Series. You need to find something else. You need to say like, I understand that like baseball wouldn't have happened in 2020 had it not been for this 60-game season. But regardless of what had happened in this, if the Nationals would have taken it again, it still would have left a bad taste in my mouth, it is right now. The Nationals have been eliminated from playoff contention. When was the last time you saw a defending World Series champion miss the playoffs?
San Francisco Giants did it like 3 years. They'd win it and they'd suck, and they'd win it and then they'd suck.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Well,
but yeah, you're
but
right.
No,
You're 100% right.
I agree with that because you're talking about just the same thing with the NBA too. I mean, the bubble was cool. They got the guys back together. There was some fun basketball, but you're not really. I mean, you're not playing in a packed NBA arena with screaming fans that are 20,000 fans. Same with baseball. You're not packed in an MLB stadium. Minute Maid Park is not filled to the rafters with 40,000 people screaming. You know, the train's not doing its thing. I mean, it's just not the same. And the World Series is not going to be the same. You're playing in an empty baseball stadium.
The Rangers
you're winning an exhibition game. You're winning an exhibition game. People that say the fans don't make a difference, they 100% make a difference. The fans are what I enjoy on TV, seeing the fan interactions.
Yeah,
and
seeing
them
reactions.
upset.
Yeah.
It's part of the game. So I know there's been people on here on the podcast, people I respect on the podcast even, that have said that we've had guests and stuff, and they were like, well, the fans really don't do it for me. The fans 100% make the show for me. And I'm just going to say it because I'm a fan guy. I'm a big fan. That's who I am. I'm not really an expert or anything. I consider myself a fan that gets emotional and things like that. So the fans 100%. The fan reactions, the emotions of the fans, all I take into effect when you're going into Yankee Stadium in October, Game 7, and you're on the road. The same thing with Minute Maid Park. You're going into Minute Maid Park, Game 7. The Nationals beat us in Game 7 in front of all the Houston fans. That was so much better in front of the Houston fans, in front of fans, than it would have been. Imagine if that was just an empty stadium. It would not have been the same moment.
Oh, no. I think it would have been a very, very, very different outcome.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And like a whole thing about this fans thing is one of my favorite German teams. Or no, actually my favorite German, Borussia Dortmund. Their thing is it's a fan-owned club. So it's like the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. Oh,
but they have this thing called the Yellow Wall, where it's literally like 40,000 people just sitting behind the visitors' goal, just screaming the whole time, waving flags, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. They're not doing anywhere near as well when there's no fans there than how they would if there were these 85,000 people just on top of you screaming the whole time.
You know that would solve a lot of problems. I just realized the fan-owned concept, fans owning their teams.
Yeah,
I feel like that should be everywhere.
It wouldn't work in baseball, though. It wouldn't work in baseball because baseball is so driven on owners paying money to get players.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't work.
You're right because there's no cap. Right?
You can get away with it in football and NBA because there's caps.
The fact that there is no cap means the Yankees and Dodgers and teams like that.
You're 100% right.
It's bull crap.
It's been an issue for years. It's a reason. Yeah. There's a reason that teams like the Tampa Bay Rays and the Arizona Diamondbacks can never get super good. I mean, they could do it like once every like 20 years. Then they might put together like a dream team. Like I think the Rays are a legit threat this year. They're looking awesome. But
they're looking good.
There's a reason teams like that can't consistently.
What do the Rays do every year? They play extremely well in the first half,
and then they lose to the Yankees in the postseason.
Same.
Exactly.
But I mean, still, there's a reason that those type of teams can't ever get to the top. It's because they don't have Yankee money. They don't have Dodgers money. They don't have Boston money. Whereas Boston doesn't even have the type of money that New York and LA does, and that's the reason why they're usually below the Yankees. So, I mean,
can you imagine anything like that? Yeah.
Yeah. If there was no cap in football, the Dallas Cowboys would be the Dallas.
There wouldn't be a league. It'd be the Dallas Cowboys league.
Good. They'd be their own team. They'd be their own league.
It'd be the Dallas Cowboys league. That's all it would be. The DCL.
It'd be like the Super Bowl every year. It would be crazy.
It'd be like who's gonna play the Cowboys in the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah.
That would be the competition. But
Jerry Jones would just buy the rings in advance.
He'd buy the stadium. He'd buy the refs and buy the stadium and be like, "We're playing in the Super Bowl in Dallas Cowboy Arena." Like every arena would be named after Dallas.
It would straight up just be called Jerry World at that point. It would just Jerry World Stadium. That's what it would be.
Yeah.
Man,
it's Jerry's world. We're just living in it.
I got one more thing I want to talk about before we finish up the show. Sean and I do a little bit of streaming occasionally. Today we didn't stream it. We spent all day playing Among Us. For those of you that don't know what that game is, super entertaining game. It's basically you got 8 people or 10 people in like a ship. Find the person that's killing everybody. That's the goal. Maybe we'll stream a little bit of that here in the next few days. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good show. Sean, what do you think of Among Us? Because I mean, you and I tend to play bigger games. This is a little bit of an indie game. I had a blast today. What did you think?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. There was just it was and it was especially fun when like you, me, Ryan, or Patrick was like the imposter, the one that would just go around
Accusing each
killing
other.
everybody. Because then like we would see like we would start seeing like voice patterns change, how we speak change, everything like that. So like it eventually got to me where when I went pretty far as the imposter, first person I killed was Reed. Second
Because he
person I
knew that
killed
I'd be able
was
to figure him
Patrick.
out.
But the one person that I wasn't able to get was Ryan, and that's who exposed me. So I was like, oh. So I think it's a really fun game. If you don't have to have 10 people in one party. You can have a couple and then like make it public like we did. Just it's a total blast. Super fun. I usually don't like super hyped up like multiplayer games, but that one was just it was a blast. It was so much fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun playing that. We'll probably play it again. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. If we play it, maybe I'll stream it. I don't know. Red Rocket Gaming 71 on Twitch. Check it out.
You should put it on the YouTube, man.
I can stream it on YouTube. That'd be funny.
Put it on the channel.
I think that's gonna be it for today. Sean, thank you for joining us. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to plug anything you want. Go.
Check out my OnlyFans. That's it.
Writing it down. No.
Hey, we talked about old man entertainment. We are willing to do anything if you want to do it. Sean, do you want to be our OnlyFans guy?
I'll totally be your OnlyFans guy. I am totally your fan service dude.
Can you imagine the username Old Main Entertainment? That'd be your old main entertainment, baby. And that's just an old man on there smoking a cigar. I don't know.
Hey, people would.
Telling you he's proud of you, just like doing the things your dad never did. Like
old man encouragement. Oh yeah, that's right.
That's all he wants.
It's just like there's just like a fire in the background. Pull up a glass of whiskey, son.
Yeah.
I got some stories for you. I can tell him how I got away with war crimes and whatnot.
It's like a special video. I have to pay like $10 extra for or something like that. Oh God,
maybe the possibilities of an Old Man Entertainment OnlyFans. We're gonna end the show leaving y'all thinking about an Old Man Entertainment OnlyFans account.
They don't want to think about it.
They're gonna have to think about it, and it's too late now. They're already thinking about it.
Oh Jesus.